The opioid crisis in the United States is a multifaceted and devastating public health emergency that has gripped the nation for decades. This epidemic, characterized by a spike in opioid misuse and addiction, has wreaked havoc on individuals of all classes, races, and backgrounds across the country. The roots of this crisis, though very complicated, can be attributed mostly to mental health struggles, faulty healthcare practices, socioeconomic factors, and pharmaceutical marketing. Drugs like heroin, prescription painkillers, and fentanyl have shattered lives and caused the end of so many, and these effects have sparked widespread concern and efforts to combat the issue. Addressing this monstrous healthcare crisis will require many efforts, including healthcare reform, community support, education, and improved access to treatment and mental health services. To learn more about why opioids have such a tight hold on millions of Americans, we must take a closer look at their effects on the brain. Opioids are highly addictive due to their interactions with the brain's endorphin receptors, which control feelings of pain and pleasure. After entering the bloodstream, opioids bind to these receptors and mimic the body's natural pain-relieving chemicals, erasing the perception of pain and inducing a feeling of euphoria and extreme relaxation. This nearly immediate sense of well-being and enjoyment creates a powerful positive reinforcement loop that the victim must continue using to maintain that euphoric feeling and escape pain and eventually withdrawal symptoms. Opioid withdrawals are among the worst out of any drug, leading users to become physically and psychologically dependent. Additionally, users grow a stronger tolerance the more they use, creating a dangerous and rapid increase in dosage. A combination of all these detrimental factors places opioids as one of the most harmful and addictive groups of drugs on the planet. Scientists studying the effects of opioids on the brain are constantly trying new strategies for treatment, and one recent possibility is gene editing. Gene editing technology, while still in its experimental stages, has opened up infinite possibilities in the healthcare field. Scientists are working towards being able to completely cut addiction and other diseases down to their roots and bring this devastating crisis to an end. Here's how it works.
For a long time now, we have known genetic mutations that underlie disease. And so one of the thoughts is, if we know what mutations cause disease, why not just go in and replace it and revert it back to the normal sequence? And CRISPR is a technology that we harness from bacterial cells to be able to make those precise changes in the human genome. And the way it works is, imagine if you are writing a novel and you are proofreading the novel and there are some typos you want to fix. And let's say the sentence in the novel said, "Twinkle, twinkle, big star," but you really want to fix it so that it's "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." There are different ways to fix it. You can either get rid of the word big, that would read "Twinkle, twinkle, star." It doesn't capture the full meaning of what you are intending the sentence to be. And other ways is to just add in the little word, so you have "Twinkle, twinkle, big, little star." And that still is quite confusing. So what you have to do is you have to go in and replace big with little. And so one way to do this, you may give Cas9 a RNA that encodes "Twinkle, twinkle, big star." And by taking this search string, Cas9 can go into the genome and try to find a place where the mutation matches "Twinkle, twinkle, big star." And then Cas9 would make a cut in the word big. And then by providing the cell with a repair template that carries the word little, the cell will repair this DNA break with the new repair sequence.
A recent study conducted in 2019 encompassing the opioid epidemic and gene editing brings many interesting topics to the table. Researchers wanted to gain insight into whether gene editing technology like CRISPR could aid people in ending hereditary opioid addiction. They hypothesized that since various studies have suggested that gene editing can indeed change some addictive behaviors and help avoid relapses, it's very possible it could be a solution for bringing an end to the crippling problem for future generations. The study, apart from its lengthy overview of the crisis and about genetic susceptibility to addiction, mainly focuses on a separate experiment conducted with rats. Gene editing technology had already been used as a tool to study mental illness in the past, and the authors are confident that it could fight opioid addiction by transplanting stem cells or directly modifying genes related to each other. In this study with rats, scientists found that the genes used for drug addiction and mental illness and feeding and reward are the same for rats, and thus studied the genetically edited rats and their reactions to tomatoes. The study actually looked into the effects of CRISPR technology on rats with Parkinson's disease, but the scientists concluded that the same technology could be used to assist opioid addiction. The scientists behind the rat study used the adeno-associated virus, or AAV CRISPR combination system to introduce mutation in the dopaminergic neuron gene, which tested the function of genes in substance, drug abuse, or Parkinson's disease model. By editing the D2 dopamine receptors of the rats, the scientists were able to further study the altered rats' reaction to reward, stress, and feeding. The results of the study were very promising and suggested that gene editing indeed can become a viable option for treating addicts. However, there is no doubt a long road lies ahead if this technique is ever used to help humans. The main limitation or flaw in this study is the fact that the analyses of the studies and the conclusion are mostly speculatory. The phrases "may help" and "may fix" are thrown around a lot, and I believe the lack of any real human-tested genetic editing to fix opioid addiction definitely weakens the discoveries featured in the study. One could claim the purpose of the study is simply to show that the possibility is there, but I think without proper evidence to show the CRISPR technique's effectiveness on humans, this report isn't going to save the 2.2 million opioid addicts in the US. However, that doesn't mean I don't think this study is useful. The possibility is there, and I believe that's what the authors wanted to show. I believe these researchers were responding to a growing public awareness and concern about the opioid epidemic, and they hope their compilation of findings will further research into a different kind of cure for opioid addiction. I think the lack of public knowledge of how gene editing works and how it has been shown to fix problems similar to addiction prompted this study. I don't believe this study features any truly groundbreaking discoveries, but it brings to light a possibility for hope. This study gives people the idea that there is something out there that can help with opioid addiction and other issues. Although it hasn't been proven on humans suffering from addiction, future treatments can use CRISPR technology and change the trajectory of the opioid crisis. Also, on the preventative side, the introduction to this study emphasizes the true power and danger of drugs like opioids that can claim and shatter lives. Monumental progress awaits these scientists searching for the kill switch for diseases such as addiction, and studies like these are the small steps necessary to move forward in this offensive against the opioid crisis.